Hey everyone, it's another short video here. I'm gonna go over some of the same pages as yesterday, and just go through till request forms and files. I started reading on handling errors, and I think that's an important page, so we'll save that for the next video. I'm also partially contemplating just having a giant, like a really big, really long video that just goes through all of them through till here, and then we'll do the advanced user guide, and etc. etc. Um, so and then maybe end with like a really really big one, but I'm not sure about that because I think building the thing I want to build is also part of it, and I feel like those will become mega projects. Not mega projects, but they could take up a significant period of time. So I may or may not do that. It really depends on how strongly I feel once I'm done going through all of these docs, which my heart is broken because my niece and nephew have left town, and my wife has also decided to go to her in-laws for a week, both of which makes me sad. I mean, it wasn't like an argument with my wife or anything. It was pre-planned, but still, I miss them. But also, them being gone means I am probably able to spend more time doing this. So hopefully things will move faster from here on out, and it won't be short like 5 or 10 minute videos again and again. And with deeper exploration into things. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Anyways, well, tomorrow might be better, but then day after will be a bit of a toss up again because I have to go to the hospital to take my mother for chemotherapy. Just life stuff, right? Okay, so form data. What is form data? So essentially, it's just another method of communication. That's not JSON. It's defined by HTML FORM tags. And it's also how files are commonly transmitted. So this page is very simple. It's just defining that there's also, just like there was query and let's see, there was some query, header, cookie, body, etc. There's also form, and if you annotate a parameter with its type and obviously this function, which actually returns a class, because that's what all of these functions do. It is basically instructing Python that if we receive this parameter, it is a form parameter. It's as simple as that, right? They've been doing this. If you've been following along with pretty much everything else, query parameters, all of them kind of fall in the same bucket. So it's the exact same here. So, and obviously if you leave it unannotated, it's interpreted as a query parameter, but it's a form parameter here because you've annotated it as such. And just a little thing. Basically, data from forms are encoded with the media type application x www form URL encoded, which makes it incompatible with application JSON. So if your endpoint takes form data, you just cannot define a body. Yeah, you also can't declare body fields. Yeah, and then there's multi-part form data that is related to files, but that comes in other chapters. Form models. So just like with queries and bodies and headers, cookies, everything, you can create a Pydantic model that defines all the form parameters you need. And you can also, in the model config, set up that extra models are forbidden. That basically there's no, extra data is forbidden. So if you have, like in this case, username and password, if someone tried to send another form data parameter of something else, it won't be accepted. if you set up this model config extra 4-bit. Simple, 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 simple. Request files. So there's FastAPI has file and upload file. So if you use file, you annotate it as bytes, whereas upload file is inherently like that. And essentially the difference is that a upload file object exposes a spooled Python spooled temporary file object, which essentially is a file that is opened up and stored in memory as much as possible, and then once it outcasts or overruns the amount of memory allocated to it, it stores it to disk. So that's what a spooled temporary file object is, and it just exposes that directly, and you have a few fun things you can do with upload file as a result. It's just more flexible that way. Uses spooled file, which is a file stored in memory up to a maximum size limit, and after passing this limit, it'll be stored on disk. Means it'll work well for large files. You can get metadata from the upload file. It has file-like async interface, exposes an actual Python spool temporary file. Has these following attributes. And upload file also has these async methods you can do: write, read, seek, and close, which will call the appropriate actual Python file function. And they are all awaitable, so they are all async functions, so make sure you await them. What is form data? Oh, this is just another thing. Optional file uploads, you can set them to be optional, as we've already done in the type annotations with the pipe operator. Upload file with additional metadata, so you can annotate it with the upload file type and then use the file class to pass additional metadata about it. And you can do multiple file uploads with lists, totally fine. Multiple file uploads with additional metadata, also fine, no problem. It's just essentially annotated list, upload file, colon, file description. Like, it's just repeating the same thing again and again, but they're being thorough. Which is what has been irritating, because I sit down in my few little precious time to read this. I read these things, and when I read them much slower. And it started telling, I'm like, wait, this is the exact same thing as with cookie parameters. I'm like, God damn it. I'm just bad at recognizing that this is essentially the same thing. Sometimes I can, and I think it's partially a function that for the past couple of weeks, every time I sit down to do this, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So maybe my brain is not able to process that and see that pattern in that moment. I believe this is also pretty straightforward page: request forms and files. It's essentially just saying that you can mix and match forms and files in a request. That's basically it. Form data and file data, and it's totally fine. And you can mix regular file data and upload file data. This is all acceptable. That's really all there is. That's pretty much this video. We can get into handling errors, but I don't want to do that today because it's a nice. I feel like we'll be able to go through it quickly once I read it fully, but it's important stuff, even though it's not stuff that will take very long, and hopefully I'll get through much more than that tomorrow. Like, I really want to get through to the end of security at least, maybe even start on middleware, and then make a video on that. And you know what? I might go crazy tomorrow and just not read, but like for the video, just go do everything from the beginning all the way through till where we're at, just to have like a recap for myself as well. Because this has been like a lot of a reading thing, so just kind of like, double in on the challenge of like really absorbing as much from the reading process. And this does go against the whole, doing learning through doing thing, and it is really important. But really, you do have to decide your goal, and sometimes you can pre-decide the horizon of like, oh, I'm screwing around. Like, I think in my earlier videos, I mean, it's like, oh, you decide to do this thing, and you just look at the thing, you look at the question or whatever, and then like you're like, I'm just gonna do that. It's like, wait, how do we do that? And then you instantly go down a rabbit hole, right? You can make that decision, and you can, if you are confident enough that a particular type of rabbit hole, like I am here with all of this, is going to be deeply useful to you with that, you can do that. But that does require like skill and knowledge, intuition. It requires a lot of things because you got to really have a decently formed idea of the thing you're trying to do to justify such a long rabbit hole, because that's essentially what this has been for me. um, and who knows, I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just going to get to the end of this and be like, oh, the last month was a complete waste. I hope that's not the case, but let's find out. Anyways, that's a lot of rambling. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Just wanted to do that transition. Thought that would be fun. Let's see what other transitions we can do. Can we I think we can. Oh, wow. I live inside my computer now. That's the name of the video.